G'day guys, another rat study, in this case on the effects of taurine on rat reproduction. So while we can't extrapolate too much from rat studies, that's true, but unlike the one that Rat Boy was being, let's say, dragged over the coals by Bart this morning, there's a difference between looking at some crazy model where you're actually taking rat cells and putting them into a petri dish and doing things to them, and then trying to make out some bullshit, argument against saturated fats. That's just ridiculous. Here we're looking at taurine. Taurine is endemic in all eukaryotic cells in all mammals. All mammals require taurine, irrespective, and carnivores require far more. As we know with cats, they don't even endogenously produce, so they really need to get it from the actual diet. We have some internal capacity, but that is a sort of a throwback from our evolutionary past when, even the chimps have got it, even though they eat a lot of meat, as I've shown in a number of my videos, but they do have a certain level of internal production. There are some other carnivores that do as well. So it's sort of a mixed bag. It's more of a sort of a throwback to earlier speciation. There was no reason, there was no evolutionary pressure to lose that capacity or any negative things. So having it is a bonus sort of thing. Shows the importance of taurine in a lot of cellular processes and stuff like that inside the body, and the importance of it. So let's look at these little rats and their reproductive relationship. This is more to give you an idea of what's happening in animal model, and we're only looking at a single factor here, a single nutrient, which we find across all mammals in different amounts, obviously, but still a very important, a sulfur amino acid in the functioning of mammals in general, including humans in that regard. So we're just looking at a rat model and looking at what effects within the rat does taurine have in terms of reproduction and stuff like that. And I would say that when we look at people on a carnivore diet, due to the higher taurine levels and many other nutrients, we see greater success in reproduction. So this does not surprise me that we see this in an animal model as well. So obviously we can't extrapolate, entirely, but if we look at other animals like the Pottinger's cats and stuff like that in other models, cat is very different from a rat and all that, we notice the same thing. You reduce the taurine intake, you see a lot of pathology, and also you see a lot of reproductive dysfunction as well. So it seems that all species, us as humans, one of our greatest sources when we come out of the birth canal is from mother's milk. Mother's milk has one of the highest levels of taurine compared to any other mammalian milk. So any other mammal out there, including rats, cats, and everything, our milk, the human milk has got higher levels. That's because it's very important for brain development as well, and very important for, actually stem cell production of new brain cells. So that's for another video, but that's how important it is to the human physiology for a whole lot of reasons. So let's check this one out to get a bit of a baseline of what's happening within other mammals and stuff like that, and how important it is for all mammals in terms of reproductive success. So I'll just share screen. Okay, and away we go. So effects of taurine on male reproduction in rats of different ages. So just a background. It's been demonstrated that taurine is one of the most abundant free amino acids in male reproductive system and can be synthesized by the male reproductive organs, but the effects of taurine on male reproduction is poorly understood. And that includes humans as well. It's really poorly understood. So they've got here taurine, and then they've got beta-alanine, taurine transport inhibitor. So to see the differences when they try and inhibit to some extent taurine, what happens as well. Were offered in water of male rats of different ages. The effects of taurine on reproductive hormones, testes, markers, enzymes, antioxidant ability, and sperm quality were investigated. Yes, we want to know what the quality of that sperm is and how good is it at swimming. Yes, swimming up to those lovely eggs. Let's move on before I say too much. Okay, the present study they say demonstrated that taurine supplementation could stimulate secretion of luteinizing hormone and testosterone, increase the levels of testicular marker enzymes, elevate testicular antioxidants, and improve sperm quality. Yes, we need that. The result implies that taurine plays an important role in male reproduction, and especially in aged animals like this one. You knew I was going to go there, so don't say you weren't warned. There may be more innuendos as I go along. So let's look at some of the results. So, reproductive hormone analysis. Oops, I need to press that button. Yes. Okay, so we've got the control here. We've got the one that is inducing the reduction, and we've got basically, and this is reproductive hormones, and you can see taurine, obviously here there is, and these are the significant differences. This is smaller than 0.005, has a p-value, and the taurine, which isn't as good as the actual one from taurine, which actually is a better result in terms of giving much better reproductive hormone success. So estradiol, it's a good thing that it goes up in actual babies that are developing. And luteinizing hormone is up in terms of basically the, follicle, isn't it? Follicle stimulating hormone. That's more or less no difference. But luteinizing plays a big important role in terms of the sort of reproductive success of animals in that regard. Anyway, both these hormones are pituitary gland derived. So let's go back. Let me hope I get this in the right order than going all over the place. May have to just increase the size just to make sure that it's actually I'll just go to that. I won't go too high just in case it actually distorts it too much. I want it big enough for you guys to be able to see it, but I don't want it to be distorted too much. I think you can actually see similar effects in the adults as well, of reproductive hormones in adult rats. And in the aged ones as well, look at this, testosterone boost. Yes, I'm just thinking about myself now. I'm a really, really, really strong reproductive rat. Yes. Feel better there. And as you can see, estrogen wasn't massive. It's about nearly just similar to the actual control. Obviously these important things in terms of follicle yeah, that's it, follicle stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone. Look at this, how much higher, especially luteinizing for us old rats. For us old rats, I'm just, stroking my little hairs. Anyway, this rat feels very happy. Let's see if I can actually, when I actually do enlarge it, does it actually sit better? Nah, makes it a bit hard to. Anyway, there you go, aged rat. Really good, really good results. Look at the T levels. Yes, this rat really is happy about this result. Maybe we should go a bit higher. We did drop the levels because, I mean, we got rid of a lot of the fibrosis. Yes, I'll think about that. Any advantage you can get as an old fella, It's a good combination with L-citrulline for the fella down there, and it's a synergistic combination. You happy about the result? He's happy. Okay, let's move on. I knew this was going to become very explicit, not suitable for young children, just to put that remark out there. Okay, so which is this one? This one is the level of testes biochemical indicators in adult rats. That's right. So superoxide dismutase. So that's the plays an important role in sort of your antioxidant system and all that sort of stuff. It's one of, like glutathione, superoxide dismutase is very important for that. As you can see, glutathione, we're good to go there as well. But I knew that from other studies that I'd looked at. So obviously it does much better than the control or the other. And the ACP, hold on, can't remember that. Let me just remember my ACP, acid phosphatase, and then the lactate one, yep. Okay, back to this. So I wrote this down. Okay, so we've got that one's gone up, which is well, it's part of, it's a number of processes that happen in the body, metabolic catalytic processes. So it's a good enzyme to go up because it just improves certain metabolic processes in the body, in the mitochondria and all that. So it's a good thing. It's a good marker in that regard. So it's good to see it go up in that regard. So that one's gone down, MDA, which is a sort of an aldehyde type thing, melano something di, whatever aldehyde, and that's good that it's gone down. That's another one. This one's a strange one. It's sort of, what is it called? Alkaline or alkaline or something like that, phosphatase or something like that. It's associated with a number of pathologies, in your kidneys and bones and liver in particular. But it's sort of, we're not clear how bad it is, or when it's, if it's partially elevated, it's not really bad. It can be involved in a number of just normal processes, but if it's too elevated, it can be a problem. It's heavily associated with cancer, but again, it's not causal. We don't have any causal, it's just associated. Just because something gets elevated in a certain condition, it doesn't mean it's actually causal. you know, because we see other things that elevate, but there's no mechanistic association. So, you know, okay, taurine does lower it, but is that really a health marker that we can sort of say, yes, it's done something positive? I don't know in that regard. So I'm not going to put anything out there. Now, this is the sort of the an enzyme that's involved in sort of energy production. So converting glucose to energy and all that. And you can actually see that other one suppresses it. And basically, when we look at taurine, it's pretty much the same as control, which basically means that it has no negative effect. It's not affecting it in any negative way. And so it's pretty much, you know, this is part of the polyol pathway. I forget the name of this, but it's sorbitol something. I think, is it dehydrogenase? Let me just, let's just go up here. Nope. No, where is it? Dehydrogenase. Yeah, it is sorbitol dehydrogenase. That goes through the polyol pathway. Okay, so let's go through. And so, yeah, that sort of, you can actually if you've got enough glucose in the system, you can convert it to fructose. And so get it out of the system. It's actually a good thing to be able to clear out if you've got excess glucose. For us, we're not rats, we're carnivores, and we're not excessively, obviously this animal's on a basically a chow, you know, a chow meal. So obviously it's gonna, you know, so that it has this even higher than the control in terms of the ability to reduce the glucose in the system is good anyway in that regard. So when we're looking at this, I remember now, it's aspartate something, I can't remember it now. And the other one is alanine something, but I just can't remember that. Both of them, when they elevated it, it just sort of indicates that there are some issues in terms of liver issues. And I've talked about, you know, the importance of taurine as a detoxifier, you know, and actually improving liver function, you know, fibrotic tissue and all that. So obviously, I'm not surprised that these numbers are both down when it comes to taurine. Glutathione is up, which is good. And these ones don't really need any explanation. That's nitric oxide synthesis. So as we can see, it does increase the nitric oxide synthesis. And the other one is actually increasing nitric oxide, which is in the blood, which is a vasodilator. And I've told you guys plenty of times that the importance of taurine as an osmolyte to regulate all the electrolytes in the body. But on top of that, it has this effect like L-citrulline, which, you know, converts to arginine and then basically from arginine into nitric oxide. But also taurine has this effect as well, has an effect, a positive effect in actually improving vasodilation as well. So obviously the vasodilating effect of L-citrulline is much higher. So, you know, but at the same time, this also has an important vasodilating. It seems that when it comes to taurine, it's working on two mechanisms. When it comes to blood pressure, it's sort of regulating the electrolytes as an osmolyte, you know, getting this homeostasis, but also increasing slightly nitric oxide. But it's not massive. Okay, let's not exaggerate this. We're not talking about here massive amounts. As you can see, it's a very small, you know, we're not talking about massive. Look at, they consider it significant. I don't know. I don't know about humans. I'm not as convinced. I think L-citrulline is that converts to arginine. That arginine is more important than taurine, but you know, I haven't seen it this high. I usually see it just slightly above in some other studies that I've looked, but they were lower doses, and these are higher doses. Maybe higher doses do actually have an improvement in nitric oxide. Maybe, I don't know. In humans, because I haven't really seen any, you know, in human studies, it's only like 400 milligrams, which they consider as the dietary requirement, or there's, you know, 1 gram. And even at the minimum of like a rat, at the minimum of a rat that it requires, which is, and a rat's, sorry, of a cat, which is about 56.7 milligrams, which is a study that I saw. That was the minimum, top end of the minimum. I just cannot remember the bottom end of the minimum. If you drop below that, then you really start seeing a lot of pathology rapidly. So it's minimum sort of thing, like, you know, you really, it's like a fine marker, but which is equivalent in humans to the sort of levels of between the sort of 400 to a gram sort of levels in that regard. So it's why I indicate that, you know, some organ meats are, you know, are probably required, especially if you want, you know, that important health level, especially when you're dealing with disease in particular. So, you know, so in that sort of regard, let's just go back to the other one. So, and so it's, you know, and that's the one other thing that I did forget about superoxide dismutase. Superoxide dismutase is really important for sort of respiratory stuff as well. So, you know, this is where taurine really helped me improve my lung. My sister as well, my younger sister who had asthma, I remember, but we got the palmitate and the choline up to sort out her lung surfactant. But also we did include taurine, and taurine's been shown to really, which is with those chronic obstructive sort of lung diseases, and the sort of acute, what they call acute respiratory disease. So those cases where you've got a number of issues in the lungs, taurine seems to really help there. I do encourage people who have got kids with asthma to supplement them with a bit of taurine. For that reason, it does seem to really improve things, plus the palmitate and the, you know, give them eggs to get palmitate and choline, just in case they've got structural asthma. Some do have structural asthma, some do not, you know, it depends. And it seems like taurine sort of ameliorates a lot of the other non-structural type asthmas and type of respiratory things. And I think it's doing it through superoxide dismutase, as even, which I've seen human trials as well, which show much elevated superoxide dismutase. And I do see it here as well in the rats. So it's been confirmed now in 2 models, both a human and a rat model. And these are actual in vivo. So it's actually in a living organism. It's not in a petri dish. So yeah, so it's pretty much interesting in that regard. This is what I did earlier. I actually looked at that, the amount to look at in humans, in all the tissue of humans, they considered that there's about 0.1% of all our bodies, of all the tissues in our body, has that amount in taurine. If you divide that by 100, we times that by somebody with 70 kilogram person. So that's somebody who's 154 pounds for those not in on the non-metric system. And so that sort of translates to 0.07 kilograms, which is 70 grams. So you've got 70 grams in your whole body. Obviously, if you're using about 400 milligrams, which is what they believe, this is belief. It's never been proven in research, but they consider it, you know, you really need about that amount. Most people are not even getting close to that 400 milligrams. At that, it's about you know 0.6. It's about 0.5%. Do we actually consume 0.5% of what's in our bodies? Only? I doubt it, honestly. I think basically if you're on an ancestral diet, possibly, yes. You know, if we were to translate that from like an animal, human, cats, about, let's say, 4 kilograms. A large cat's about 3.5 to about 4.5. So let's say in between 4. So that's about 17.5 times 50. We'll go to the minimum, which is about, I think around about 35 was. So that's about the equivalent of a cat into a human of 70 kilos would be 612.5. Most researchers out there are saying about 400. And that's the bare minimum. That's the bare minimum. So if we go to 17.5 times the 56.7, it's nearly a gram. That's nearly a gram for the top end of the minimum for cat. Remember, cat can't actually do endogenous its own. We do some endogenous, but it does decline in age as we get older. So once you get over 40, it starts declining. 50 at mid 50s, like I am, it declines even further. And at 65, it literally falls off the cliff. You're not getting into the food. You've got problems in that regard. So I think we've underestimated, but we've got no research. I can't base it on any research. We know that if you go below these bare minimums in cats who can't endogenously produce any, they get very, very sick and get all sorts of disorders, including, you know, cancers and all sorts of things. Now, our levels do drop, especially after 65. Should we be on a bare minimum of a gram? That would mean that we would have to eat certain seafoods and other things, certain organ meats and all that in older age to get enough of this nutrient, or keep our lifestyle extremely clean, which I doubt most of us can do, to keep the level of, you know, oxidation, you know, to a bare minimum, which I doubt it, to be honest, in that regard. So when we look at these, we're looking at similar levels. Now we'll move on from those. We'll go into the adult rate in the sperm. Yes, my favorite subject. The key in terms of general sperm is not much difference in the amount between the rats. The way they interact in that sense, yeah. Abnormalities are down to the control. So beta-alanine, this sort of inhibitor that inhibits taurine. So by inhibiting taurine, you see more abnormalities. By actually allowing taurine to, you know, you basically do not see any, you know, so an animal that's actually got good levels of taurine should be good. Now, in terms of life and all that sort of stuff, there's not much difference there. But when we look at more motility, that is Swimming, ah, yes. I was about to say breaststroke, but no, freestyle, mate, freestyle swimming, freestyle into the egg, freestyle into the egg. Oh yes, look at this, look at the levels. You know, if you suppress taurine, yep, you're not even moving much. But if you're basically not suppressing, so you know, vegans, I don't know how you get how to get reproduction on that diet. It's not going to happen. On the carny diet, bloody hell. And we know a lot of the success stories. I thought my husband was shooting blanks until we went carny, and he got me pregnant. Yeah, exactly. Yes, great motility. You know, can do the 100 micro, you know, the 100 mil, you know, 100 inches or whatever. Can do it in a rapid. Swimming like mad. Ah, yes, that's what we want. Great motility, even higher than the control. Bloody hell. These things must be swimming like mad. I see an egg. Yes, exactly. Yes, yes. Taurine-induced pregnancy. Yes. Those people those misanthropists out there must hate taurine by now, you know, because it helps so much in reproductive success, especially getting that sperm to really perform. Yes, yes. No, we can't have that, can we? You know, we need to keep down the taurine. We need to do vasectomies and all that. We need to make sure we cannot reproduce. Yes, yes. But according to these rats, they love the stuff. Yes, give them taurine, and I would say it improves many other things. Yeah, so pretty much, you know, we've covered the sort of the conclusion demonstrated taurine supplementation could stimulate secretion of luteinizing hormone and testosterone, increase the levels of testicular marker enzymes, elevate testicular antioxidants, and improve sperm quality. Ah, yes, we need good sperm quality that can swim very far and very fast as well. Yes, nothing like a good swimmer. The results imply that taurine plays an important role in male reproduction, especially in aged animals like this one. But the exact effect and mechanism need to be further investigated. Obviously, we need more studies. Give us some more money. Oh, I had to say that. You know what academia is like in that regard. And oh, is that where they had all the actual exactly? Okay, I should have grabbed that from the beginning if I knew it was right at the bottom. Oh, God, I didn't even go that far down, did I? Anyway, laziness. And yes, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, the obviously, yes. Oops, let me just go back up here. And just to, you know, that's a really important marker for oxidative stress for people that want to know. And we can actually, we've seen how, you know, it plummets with taurine. So if, you know, because like that's one that some people do actually check, like their doctors will check, and it's sort of, well, it's useful for basically for people to basically look into it and say, yep, you know, it can be useful for people to have an insight into these sort of things and stuff like that. And you know, I think that pretty much covers most of it in that regard. But that's, you know, if people want to actually check something, I mean, obviously you can check the, you know, the other two, you know, so these ones too, which, if they're elevated, it's a good indicator for things like liver disease in particular, cirrhosis, hepatitis, we're talking about problems in the liver. Usually if the liver is actually damaged, these will get released in the bloodstream. So, those are the sort of things when people are concerned about their livers, they can look at that one. And when they're, about general sort of oxidative stress in the body, they can look at something like that, which is sort of important. So I'll just stop the sharing in that regard. So yes, so in a rat model, if you really want to have good swimmers that are healthy, that are going to perform, and you're going to get your misses, yes, you're going to do the business, so to speak. Yes, your best nutrient or supplement is to get that taurine into you. Oh boy, get that taurine into you. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this amusing, looking into the male reproduction of another mammal. Anyway, see yous.